All right, guys, we're doing a little sheep and goat outlook, and again, I'm gonna give it from the perspective here of Oklahoma. So if you're not in Oklahoma or not from around, uh, prices may not be quite the same. They might be better. They might be worse. I hear all kinds of stories when I do these talks across the United States, and so uh, but the price data that I gather and collect is all from around this region, which is the biggest region where we sell sheep or sell goats anyway. Sheep is a different story, but so again, if it doesn't match your area, my advice is kind of look at your market. See the patterns should be all the same. So let's look a bit, and so let's talk a little bit. In February we always get this the annual goat report, inventory reports, and you can see here. I'm going to move my little screen here so I can see this. You can see here that goats are down again. Overall total goat population, and again the USDA, we break goats into three groups. Angora goats, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Just they're down for about the it's like seventh year in a row. The positive thing I can say about Angora goats, it's the smallest decline they've had since 2017. So since they started declining this year, they had the smallest decline, but again, they're getting close to having less than 100,000 head across the United States. When we talk about milk goats, when I was doing these talks back in 2018, 2019 and stuff, 2020, I kind of thought that the milk goat thing was doing pretty good. I mean, we had several years, about 6 years of and goat numbers going up, milk goats. Now we've kind of hit a peak, and now we're coming back down. So I don't know if the fairy tale is ended, or if I used to think that maybe the fork to table or farm to table movement was causing some of this, but they're down again. I probably think that if I put a pencil to it, it's probably more along the lines of dairy goats probably become unprofitable as the feed prices got higher and higher, because that's kind of what was happening through this time frame. And as it becomes unprofitable, people get out. So, but what I'm here to talk about is mostly the meat goats. And again, surprising numbers to me. I usually have a chart in here that shows the average annual price, and really the market's been trying to buy more and more meat goats, and the industry's just not responding. And so we got another decrease down 1.5%. And the troubling part about this whole number is that in 2023, we have the lowest goat number since 2004. And you think about that, we just started counting goats in 2003. And so although the market is telling us they want more and more goats by bidding up the price, I mean, for those of you, I got into goat business back in 2006, and I can remember bringing 90 cents a pound and dollar a pound and being happy. And now, the market's averaging over $3 a pound, and people are still getting, they're not wanting to stay in the goat business. And so, good news for those of us raising goats, supply is going to be an issue. I mean, we're not going to have increased supply numbers, and so that should help prices stay relatively good. When we look at where the goats are, I mean, if for those of you who see me do this talk before, this map looks pretty similar. Texas is the driving force. So when they drop goats, the U.S. numbers drop. But the one thing that I think is kind of surprising to me is Tennessee has always been number 2 since I've been doing all these talks, and they always had 100,000 head or more. And now they're below 100,000. Matter of fact, they're just barely in number 2, and they're behind California, which kind of, sometimes they're number 2, or they're number 3, number 4. Oklahoma sometimes beats them. We're close to getting up there and beating them, 78,000 head. And Missouri jumps in there for first, getting ranked in the top 5. And so, it's kind of, those are the goat numbers, and you kind of see the goats are all raised. Barry talked about parasites and humid and hot areas, and where do we raise meat goats? Well, we raise it in the hottest and humidest part in the United States. And so there's our problem. When we look at changes, again, Texas is down, Tennessee is down, California is down. So your top 3 states all decreased goat numbers. Oklahoma's up, Kansas. I saw some of my Kansas people on this talk. They're up, Missouri's up. Kind of big jumps up here in this part of the United States. But again, their numbers are so low, it doesn't take a very big increased to have large numbers. But and then the rest of the southeast part of the United States pretty much stayed the same. So again, overall, we're down 1.5%. So when we talk about supply, when we can't raise the meat goats here in the United States, we're going to buy them from somewhere else. And now, when I say goat imports, guys, I'm talking about we don't import live goats and harvest them here in the United States like we do cattle. We're bringing in frozen goat carcasses is what we're doing. And so when we look at this in 2022, as I gave this talk throughout 2022, I thought 2022 was going to break the record set in 2017, and we got close, but we didn't quite break it. But we still had 20,000 metric, almost 21,000 metric tons brought in the United States. And of course, Australia is the big deal. They were up. New Zealand was actually down a little bit. Then Mexico comes in second, but again, very, very far second. So really, Australia is where we have to deal with. And now, if you look at 2023, and you got to understand the import data lags about 3 months behind. And so all I can find is the data for January and February. You look at that, we're down already. So we're not bringing in, compared to 2022, 2023 is down 68% for the same time period. So, but again, I've seen this before. I don't get too excited about that number early in this part of the year, just because I'll show you can ramp it up really quick and bring them all in. But when you look at this map, I need this graph, and I tell you, the industry is trying to buy more and more goats in the United States, and this shows it too, because if we can't produce them, they're going to bring them in. And so, and then I tried something new for this talk. I created a graph. I wanted to look at the imports by month and see if I could find a pattern. Okay, and when it's high and low, and I had the last 5-6 years on this graph, and there was no distinguishable pattern, so I couldn't find one. And so I thought, well, let me just show the 5-year average, and then show it to 2022. So one thing I can say is usually this time of year, the imports are generally lower, and they decrease into February, but then the imports ramp up. And you can think about it, the high demand time here in the United States is in March and April, so they'll ramp it back up. And I don't know where this is going to go, but I can just tell you in 2023 we're below the 5-year average. Which again, from a producer standpoint, I feel good about this because that means supply is down, and I think demand is still there. And I think you'll see that when we show the prices. But I think so. Supply is down, and that kind of helps keep prices up. But one little thing I want to show here is I got this little chart here, or this little table. So what is 20,000 or almost 21,000 metric tons equal? Well, 21,000 metric tons doesn't sound like a lot of goats, but it's 46 million pounds. So if you think about it and do some just kind of assumptions, we have, the average goat harvested around here is about 60 pounds. That's what the market kind of claims it wants. So it's a 33-pound carcass. That's what we're bringing in. So we do 46 million pounds divided by the 33-pound carcass. That kind of estimate, rough guess, we're bringing in 1.4 million goats. That's 70% of our inventory. So we're bringing in 70% of our inventory into the United States in the form of imports. So what does that tell me? That the goat industry in the United States is demand is really strong, and we're not able to meet that supply, and so they're able to bring that in to the United States. And so anyway, again, to me, that's a positive for us goat producers as far as supply goes, because if we can meet some of the supply, I think the market's going to work out very well for us. So now let's go to prices just a little bit. Well, nope, I got one more slide, the disappearance. I do this from time to time. I think this is very interesting. I look back, I did this first time about 7-8 years ago. And so USDA estimates the kid crop. And I have to, now Rebecca, I have to do this for the last year because I won't get the 2023 kid crop numbers until 2024. So 2022, the estimated kid crop was 1.2 million head. If you think 10% death loss, and I'd listen to arguments that say, okay, we could do more than that, but got to use the number. So 10% death loss, 20% replacement rate, and then the 21 official slaughter, almost 500,000 head, means we're missing 361,000 heads of goats somewhere. Roughly 30% of our kid crop is missing somewhere. So I do think a good portion of that is what we call on the farm slaughter for these goats. But still, that number is a little troubling from the standpoint that we can't account for almost a third of our goats, and that's not even taking into account that I think USDA numbers severely underestimate. Not severely, shouldn't be. That's the wrong word to use. But they do underestimate the total goats here in the United States, I think, and so we're missing probably more than a third of our goats. We don't know really what happens to it, and I don't know that we can claim that every bit of that is a on the farm slaughter, but it may be. So, but now let's get to the prices. I think this is where everybody is kind of more interested in my talk. Is when we look, and again, I'm using San Angelo, Texas. The reason why I use San Angelo, again, the largest goat market in the United States, the most consistent goat market in the United States. The only other two that probably come close are the one in Pennsylvania, New Holland, Pennsylvania, and then Columbia, Tennessee's market's probably almost as good. The reason I don't like the New Holland market is because they do not weigh anything at that market. It's all sold by the head. The weights are estimated by the guys doing the reporting. I don't know about you, but I can miss a goat's weight. I mean, I can't estimate goat's weights for nothing. I can miss chicken weight by 10 pounds. And so when I graph that data, it's not smooth. It doesn't show us picture very well. And so I just don't like using it. And then the Columbia data, I just don't have enough really when I compare it back to San Angelo. So, and again, I'm in Oklahoma, so San Angelo, Texas, I think is where our markets are based out of, or the market price is used out of. And so when you look at this, the red line, that's the 5-year average. The last 5 years, we've averaged over $3 a pound, throughout the year. We have highs and we have lows. 2021 was a really good year. That was the magical year, the highest average year we've had on record. We averaged $3.84 a pound. Then 2022, we saw that come off about $20 or 20 cents a hundred, or 20 cents a pound, $20 a hundred, to $3.68. And I often thought maybe the 2020 and 2021 markets were overpriced a bit. I didn't think we could sustain those higher prices. In 2022, I was about ready to prove me wrong because it started out higher than any prices we had. We had goats getting $4.50 a pound, but that market soon come to a different reality, and it seemed to crash. And actually, for the first time, 2022, we saw prices get approaching, actually touch the 5-year average. We hadn't seen that happen in a long, long time. And so we saw that decrease down. But again, if you think about it, those prices are still pretty good. I think that I could, I asked how many of y'all think y'all needed to make a profit, and most of y'all said $3 a pound or better. And so we're bringing $3 a pound or better. So we shouldn't really complain about the prices that we're receiving. There are things we can do to try to hit those higher prices. But and then 2023 has gotten here, and again, we started out pretty low. The goat prices at San Angelo were hovering just slightly above the 5-year average. I didn't think we would hit $4 a pound, but we did right before Easter. And then now I'm a little concerned that we started our summer drop off about a month early. Usually we started after the April market, but April looks like it's going to be a little bit lower. And I would think that we're going to see prices start to decline now into the summer months again, especially all the holidays, the ethnic holidays are going to be over with. And so I think prices are going to start to drop into the summertime. I think we're going to see prices pretty close to that 5-year average as we get down into the year. And so back to I asked y'all what you thought prices were going to do. I think we'll be just probably a touch lower to maybe right at that 2022 price average. So 2022 average 368. I'm thinking for the 40 to 60 pound kid range, I think we're probably somewhere between 350 and 360 is where we'll average out throughout the year. I think the low part of the market will probably I think we might hit that $3, maybe a touch below it when we get to the summer slump, July, August, September market. I hope I'm wrong, but that's just what I kind of think is going to happen. When we get to the 40 or the 60 to 80 pounds, kind of the same story. We saw, a $20 drop, from 2021 to 2022. We did peak over $4 a pound for these heavier weight goats, but now April has come in, and this is not the April average. This is just the first 3 weeks of April. What didn't get this week's market in there, but you can see we're starting to see that summer drop again. Again, I think we'll come down here, and we probably will hit below $3 for this weight group. And so again, I'm not going to complain about these prices. I mean, I'm kind of like you. I think at $3 a pound, I'm still going to be happy, still going to pay my bills, and so again, not too terrible bad. I do kind of break this down. Again, here's the averages, and for 2023, the first quarter in 2023, we averaged 371 and 348. Again, down just a little bit compared to 2022 first quarter. And again, I see these prices kind of going down, down and further until we get to this quarter three. The fourth quarter, we should see some reprieve, as we always do after that real huge large group of kids that come to market in the fall. Once we work through that, prices seem to go up. So I think we'll see be above $3 in that last quarter for both weight groups. And now I didn't tell you my little caveat, my proviso, my guarantee. These prices are guaranteed to come through until the end of this webinar, and then they're null and void. So, I did put a budget together. The reason why I kind of answered the question, I use $3 as the price as far as what I look at. I calculate 10% death loss, 20% replacement rate, and I've got pretty much close to what I think 2023 is going to cost us for feed, vet, and marketing. And the feed could go up a little bit more, but I'm going to be a little bit optimistic to say feed's going to stay a little consistent. And you can see here that at $3 a hundredweight, or $3 a pound, that's break even basically if we're kidding at 150%. If we can get above that, I think we can be profitable. So if we can get above $3 a pound, again, I think 2023 is going to be a pretty good year. So I'll stop and let me see, Barry, are there any questions? Seems like chat box is going on. See if I can pull it up here.
There is one. You want to read it?
Okay. I got it now. It says, do you think replacement doe price will be up this year since so many producers cold due to drought year? That could be very possible but here's the problem is we got to see industry's got to want to expand. I can tell you the cattle, if you're on the cattle side of things, you won't be able to afford a replacement heifer or a cow this year or in the next couple of years. If people think that this goat market is going to continue to be pretty decent and want to expand, I think that will cause the replacements to go up. I'm not convinced that the market's going to try to expand. I keep thinking after the last 5 years, I thought we're going to expand this goat industry, and we haven't done it. So, but I still think there's still going to be a strong price. I don't, when you're selling kids at $3 a pound, a replacement animal, you kind of figure up her value. It can't go down very much. So there's really, I don't think there's a downside to it right now. I think there's only an upside for the replacement.
Do you see this other one says, I don't understand the math here. If an 80-pound kid goes for an average of $372, then the price per pound should be $4.65. I think we're not getting per hundredweight there, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I don't see that question, so I can't see let's see here. Why am I not? For some reason or another, I don't see that question after the doe thing. So let's see. So yeah, I'm not.
It says if an 80-pound kid goes for an average of 372, then the price per pound is $4.65.
Yeah, if they go per head, consider. Uh,
Right.
I do all my calculations on dollars per pound because that's what San Angelo and that's what just about every market here in Oklahoma now is selling on dollars per pound. So uh, we'll do the math here in a minute, just a little bit. Let's go on the sheep real quick, and then we'll talk more about that. And I don't know how many of y'all are interested in the sheep side of this, and I'll be honest with you, uh, I really only pay attention to the sheep for the hair sheep market because in Oklahoma, wool sheep in my part of this country is pretty non-existent. The only people that have wool sheep in my part of the country are uh, club lambs, and they don't sell by the pound. So, but anyway, we'll go on here real quick. Lamb population again, they're down. They're not as severe as what the goat population is, but they're down about 1% overall. When you look at where the lambs are being born, it's kind of funny. Texas leads the way in lamb production or sheep numbers as well, and California comes in second. But you notice where we produce most of the goats, there are no lambs being produced. Most of the lambs are being produced out here in the northwestern or upper northern parts of the United States. And so that's where the big lamb productions are going. And you see this 57,000 here at head in Oklahoma. You see this in Oklahoma here. I dare say the majority of those are going to be hair sheep. Although the USDA right now does not, when they do the count, they don't separate hair sheep from wool sheep, and so it's really really difficult to get those numbers. So when we talk about change, actually Oklahoma sheep numbers are up. Again, I think it's all hair sheep. Texas went down, California went down. That could probably be the reason why the United States went down overall. The northern part of the country, a little increase to kind of stay the same. So, but when we get to about lamb, one thing that they do have that the goat industry doesn't have is they have really good counts on their production because majority of their lamb is killed under inspection. And when I say majority, I mean the vast majority. Probably 95% of it's killed under inspection. So we can get a kind of a total of what lamb production, mutton production is going to or is. And you can kind of see here the blue line production is up compared to last year, but we're well below the 5-year average. So supplies are not average, not compared to the 5-year average, but we're above last year's. What can be concerning is this right here. What happens with lamb or sheep production is if we produce too much lamb meat or sheep meat, we stick it into cold storage. And when we get too much cold storage, then that affects the price, and price drops pretty significantly. So anytime that this starts to go up, it is concerning. We're still below 5-year averages, which is good. You know, we touched on it back here in November of 2022, but you know, we're not there yet. I'm hoping that once this comes in for March and April, the Easter timeframe, this number comes back down. It means we're using some of it, which we should. And so that's going to be good news for sheep producers. If this number continues to climb, this could cause problems in the sheep industry. Imports, again, kind of like goats, imports are down. They're below 2023 and actually get, you know, just barely above the 5-year average. That's good news. But again, they're lagging behind. I'm kind of interested to see how much lamb we imported in for the Easter holidays. That lamb import number will affect that frozen number. So prices, when we look at slide, and again, these are wool lambs. Okay, and but you can see they had a pretty good rise up until about Easter time, severe drop, and now they're starting to pick back up. But they're still under about $1.50 a pound. When we talk about when usually feeder lambs are sold in that 60 to 90 pound range, which is what a feeder lamb is considered. And you can kind of look at this price, and those feeder lambs didn't see, you know, they had a real severe drop. Tried to kind of increase through the Easter weeks and didn't see a real drop at Easter time like the wool sheep did, and are starting to see a little bit of increase, but still below $2. But now this feeder lamb price is wool sheep and hair sheep mixed together, not just hair sheep. So what I've done is I can pull out the Texas hair sheep market. San Angelo does separate it out. The bad news is I don't have a lot of years. They only started doing it about 5 years ago, so I only have about 4 or 5 years worth of data. So here's kind of the price averages of what we've seen in 2020. We saw $22.21 a pound average. Now that 221, that's hundredweight, by the way, and that's what you saw on the other ones. You divide it by 100, and you get dollars per pound. But 220 is basically $2.21 a pound. 21, we saw a huge increase to almost $3. We almost averaged $3 a pound. Barry's smiling because he has hair sheep. He had a good time at the market. So I've got a few hair sheep. Those 2021 was a good year. 2022, not near as good, but not bad. They averaged 278. Saw a really good hot spring. Saw a really sharp decrease to the summertime. And when it normally kind of picks up in May and goes out through June, it didn't do it this time last year. It dropped all the way into July, and then it tried to increase, but it increased as what it did like in 2020 and 2021. So, but again, I don't think hair sheep producers, Barry or I, will argue about 278 a pound if we get it. I don't think $2.5, $3 a pound. I think we're pretty happy. 2023 it started out again. We did not like goats. We didn't see it as good. Didn't see that really good increase, but we didn't see average either. The typical thing, typically they've been kind of decreasing. It's kind of been relatively flat, over $2.50 a pound. I know at some point in times here in Oklahoma, some markets got close to $3 a pound on those hair sheep. We should probably expect that price to maybe tail downward just a little bit toward the summertime. I don't know. I don't think, I think I guess I'm really not positive that we're going to hit, we might tinker with that $2 a pound market, but I don't think that's probably where we may stay. And I kind of, this right-hand column are my estimates. This is what I estimate. Nobody estimates the hair sheep market. This left-hand column is what the LMIC does for that 3 market feeder. And you can kind of see hair sheep typically beat this 3 market column. And so they haven't figured out quarter number 1, but in quarter number 1, the hair sheep in Texas averaged $2.58 a pound. I think we're going to drop below that for the second quarter. Again, that third quarter is kind of iffy to me. I've got $1.80 to $2.05, so it could be average $1.95, but I'm kind of hopeful we'll stick above the $2. I think if you hit the market at a bad week, you might hit below that too. Then I think in the fourth quarter we'll get back above $2 as we climb up into the spring. And so with that, I believe